Alright, so in this section, I'm going to go over the last bits. And even though you have the body set up and the face set up, when you go to pose your rig, you're going to notice that there are some parts that are not deforming correctly. And I'm not going to go over everything because this is a long, continuous process. You can keep refining your rig and refining the rig till the end of time. But I'll just show you the problem areas and my workflow. And I use a combination of painting the weights and corrective blends. Because the painting the weights will get you, I want to say, in 80–90% of the way there. And then the last bit you kind of have to do with corrective blends, especially if you want realistic deformation. So before you start, make sure you save. So I start by taking the leg or the arm and moving it into, a typical pose. And then you'll see how, this is an ideal deformation. It's clipping in. And we can fix a lot of that with painting the weights. And the shoulder is another big problem. And so are the fingers usually. Looks like I got a little bit, yeah, see, got some issues here. All right. Oh, and then the elbow as well. So what I do is, I position it in a way where it's deforming a lot of the trouble areas, and then I go in and paint the weights until it looks right. And then you can go up here to your biped manager and go pose, reset, and then mirror the weights over. I'll just demonstrate. That way you only have to paint or get half the side right. Well, that looks like the problem right there. But I'll actually go down to place. Yeah, and then this is just a comment, the way I paint the weights. I usually just go in, find an area that's messed up, paint it over, and then you always want to check the surrounding joints because when you have replace on, it's going to send this weight to somewhere else. So exactly, see, now it's transferred it all to the shoulder part too, and you don't want any of this to be controlled by the shoulder part too, which is pretty much just the upper arm entirely. Here's another trick. You take the eyedropper and go to an area near where you want to paint, and then start going over. Oops. You can see where the additional weights that you painted out start hiding. Finally, we're getting it back to where it should be. Also do a lot of smoothing to get those transitions right. Part 2, scapula. This needs to be smoothed out. You see how now it's jumping back out, and we have to go back down here and paint it out again. Yeah, so I mean this process is pretty tedious. Go. But getting it right is worth it, and the results can be really nice. And you don't have to worry about how your rig is going to deform. And it opens you up to being able to pose your character in any way you want. Oops. This elbow is actually looking pretty good. I think this is just going to be a case of corrective blends. Same with the wrist. Turn off X-ray joints. The wrist really doesn't bend this way. Still got some problems here. Tool settings. Weights. You can also come in and just flood smoothing, but that can give you sometimes unpredictable results. But sometimes it's easier than having to go through and manually paint it all out. So that's looking a little bit better. I come in here. Oh, looks like a little too much is still connected to this. You really want this to be a little bit more concave. So I think tool settings. Let's go down to the right scapula. Actually, turn this down. So we don't want it to have no influence whatsoever, but let's go up to one of the spines. Probably needs to take some of this weight. Yeah. Turn that up a little bit more, give it a little bit more weight. All right. So just for this purpose, obviously you keep playing with it. You want to go pose, reset, go back into painting skin weights, and you want to mirror those. Apply. Oops. There we go. Now keep in mind you have to check this on or off. If you want to pick one side and stick to it. And you can see this is going to be some problems, have some problems with the chest as well. And it's just a matter of like going through all the poses. So if I bring this down, let me turn off the hair because that's slowing things up. You can see that's not really deforming correctly. This should really encompass the whole chest, and it's kind of cutting it off halfway. Pose reset. This one's looking a lot better. Probably because the weight's spread out more. Let's save that. Same with the head and neck, so you're going to have problems. When it weights it does it at like it cuts it flat across, and the head doesn't really bend that way. You want it to be bending at like a diagonal. That's why you're getting this weird bulge out under the back. Left and right too. All right, so let's just tackle a corrective blend. You really want to be doing this with forward kinematics and only have it bend in a single direction. If you're using inverse kinematics, you're going to have, let me just show you. If I switch this to IK, it's going to bend in, or it's going to rotate or translate in multiple angles. And for corrective blends, you really just want it to be in dealing with a single angle. So here you can click the little info link, and they have a video tutorial on this as well if you want to go more in depth. You click, or it's like this. Or cancel. Let me actually make this a little bit further. And I'll say select your mesh, create corrective shape. And then go to your sculpting tools, or whatever tools you want. And the elbow usually, let me do this. Oops, a little strong. Let's try point, or not size. Strength, let's take this down to 3. Even that's still strong. And it's nice you can go in the mesh and you can see where it's intersecting and just smooth it out. Sometimes inflate will work nicely. Take this way down too. So like the skin kind of bulges out when you bend your forearm. That's kind of the look you want to go for. Also, you want to maintain size with the elbow. All right, not perfect. But better than it was. And then you want to say apply, check mirror if you want it to apply to the other side. Now, pose, reset. Hopefully it's working on both sides now. Yeah. There we go. And then it should also work in IK as well. So you can see how you can then go through and apply that to other areas. See how this part of the upper leg is bulging and clipping in. And go through, mirror the corrective shapes, and you know, just continuously refine. And there it is. I think that's pretty much covers everything, at least that I try to do with my rigging. I mean, if you want to add clothes or accessories or whatever, just select the root joint, bind the skin, and then select the base mesh, and then shift select whatever it is, the, you know, a shirt or something. Right click, say paint skin weights tool, and you'll have this option down here, copy skin weights. Make sure that you select the one that you want to copy the weights to last. Yep, and that's pretty much it. you know, if you have any questions or want me to cover anything else about this, let me know in the comments below. So I hope this helped. Take care.